Mike Dunleavy has said they're going to be in the market for 3 veteran minimum players, it appears. The roster will sit at 11 if Draymond signs. Mike Dunleavy Jr. made it pretty apparent that they're not going to go to a 15-man roster for luxury tax implications, and I like that. Why would you add a 15th guy to pay him $2 million, which is really $10 million, even though you're not going to play him? That was Iguodala last year. You threw him a bone and paid him about $2 million, and he played 4 games. But before we get into specific names, and we're going back to the phones momentarily, 888-957-9570. That's also the Comcast Business text line. How do the Warriors get better between now and October? Is it a big move? Is it an incremental improvement from the guys they have? Is it veteran minimum players? Before we get into the names, I'm going to ask you these 5 questions about props. I made props here, Larry.
All right.
On veteran minimum players. And you answer yes or no. I'm going to write down your answers. And we will grade this, and we'll see how you do. And I'll pit you against John Dickinson. We'll have JD do it tomorrow.
Nice.
And we'll see who gets more of these correct. Vet min prop number 1. Do the Warriors add a veteran minimum player 6'9" or taller?
Number 1.
Who is we were playing that with Whitey earlier. Do they add a
Shock prediction.
Yes. I'm gonna say yes.
They will add, so they're gonna add a big.
Yes.
A player 6'9" or taller. All right.
Yep.
Number
Second
2.
question. Thank you. Number 2. Do they get a Curry? And by a Curry, I mean Seth Curry, Damian Lee, married to Steph's sister, or Austin Rivers, whose sister is married to Seth. Those are my 3 under the Curry category.
Yes.
Ooh, which one? Just for bonus points.
I think they could get 2. I don't know to Austin Rivers, but Damian Lee I think makes a lot of sense, and especially because chemistry is very, very important. And I think he was a good chemistry guy, and I think he's a good wing. He's a good offensive player, and I could see Seth, if he really is ring chasing mode, coming here as well. So to me, I think either one of those guys could wind up here, but Damian Lee, I think, is the better opportunity.
From the 510, get Steph to convince Seth to sign for the minimum and then try to trade Jarrett Allen for J.K. Moody and picks. So there's a suggestion from the 510.
No,
I think it's more likely they get Austin Rivers than it is that they get Seth Curry. I don't think Seth is in ring chase mode yet, and he can make more than the veteran minimum. Let's keep this moving. We got 3 more to go, including
Number 3.
Thank you, Grandy. Do they get a former Warrior in the vet min pool? And I've got JTA on the list, the aforementioned Damian Lee, JaVale McGee, Otto Porter Jr., Ish Smith, NBA champion, Boogie Cousins, Ty Jerome, Anthony Lamb, or any other former Warrior that you might think that they'll add.
Well, since I said Damian Lee, I'm going to say yes.
Okay, doubling
I think
down.
Damian Lee's a viable minimum guy.
So you're 3 yeses so far.
Right.
And you've got a 6'9" guy or taller. Damian Lee's not that. You've got yes to a Curry, and you've got yes to Damian Lee. So far you've got Damian Lee.
Ex-Warrior.
Yes. And and you're also looking at a stretch, and we'll figure out who your big man is. I think I know who you like. We'll get to that coming up. But first, the props
Number
roll on.
4.
Yes, I stepped on the number. Do they get a player 34 years of age or older? 34 or older. What'd you say, Sonny?
34. 34 or older. I'm going to say no. I'm going to say they're going to go younger.
Okay. Wow, that's actually one that I think would be a yes for me. I think that one of these...
Who you have in mind there?
Well, it could be a random big, like the lesser Lopez. So that would be Robin Lopez. You've got Dwight Howard coming back from Taiwan. He's over 34. I think that you could look at a veteran, especially one of these veteran bigs to just throw in there north of 34.
I think
Kevin Love is a name that's out there.
I know. I think it's risky, really risky. If you're going to bring Clay back, and you've got Clay who's older, Steph who's older, Draymond who's older, and Paul who's older than them, to me, you're getting into a very risky mode if you go for an older minimum guy, because then you've got a chance that you're going to wind up on some nights with some very, very inexperienced players playing instead of these older players. So I think that they're going to want to find somebody who's younger. So I would say no.
One more on the prop board as we wrap up Vetmin props with Larry Krueger here on Willard and Dibs.
Number 5.
The last one, Larry, do they get a former CP3 teammate? Now, this will be a tough one to track because he's played with 74% of the league.
I know. I'm just going to say, I mean, how many guys? This guy's played everywhere, and he's played with a bunch of guys.
Now, Jock Landale is a name that's out there, and I believe that they just played together in Phoenix. So that would be a yes if they were to get him, just for an example. And we'd have to track all the players that he played with.
I'll say no.
No on a former teammate.
Yeah, no on a former teammate of CP3.
Okay, so you're yes on 6'9" or taller.
Yep.
Yes, they get a quote-unquote Curry, and you think it's Damian Lee with a maybe on Seth Curry. A former Warrior's a yes. You're doubling down on your Damian Lee. I actually think that Juan Toscano Anderson might be the one in that category for me. If you get a big, you get a shooter, you got a glue guy, JTA, I think that he might be a good fit. You're a no on an older guy, and you're a no on a CP3 teammate.
Yeah. And the Juan Toscano Anderson's interesting. I really enjoyed watching him here, but I don't know. Don't you? To me, I think you're going to need offense, and so I want guys who are a little bit more offensive oriented than JTA. JTA, I think, is a great. I think he's a really good glue piece, defender, athlete. I think he rebounds better than his size. He can guard multiple positions. I like that. There's a lot to like about JTA, but I don't see the fit this time around.
Yeah, and coming in from the text line, the 408, wasn't Damian Lee a teammate of Chris Paul? So that would be a little. Yeah, he played for Phoenix this year.
So I guess so. Yeah,
that would be. You'd go 2-1 on the Damian Lee acquisition. He would check two of your boxes, but not the third.
If I'm still going to battle with JD on this, I gotta, I might have
hedged.
I might have to give one away there. I can't put all my eggs in the Damian Lee basket.
We're going to the phones here in 60 seconds. 888-957-9570. How do the Warriors get better? Here's a thought that is actually not going to happen, but from the 408, I believe the move to get Chris Paul is strategic to tank, be in the mix to draft Bronny next year, and LBJ joins to play with his son. I don't believe the Warriors have their pick. I just looked it up, and I think it confers it's top 4 protected, and it goes to Memphis as a part of the Iguodala trade.
And you want to bring in Bronny to, and what, you're going to tank one of Steph's Steph Curry's best year might be this next year, right? By age, he's getting further away every year.
Right.
Away from his prime. You're going to tank.
There's no tank. We don't tanks. We don't do that here in Golden State.
Tanks.
There's no tanks. And that's me, by the way. I got caught saying goodbye in an interview and something was in my throat.
Tanks.
So that's actually me. Hard to believe. 888-957-9570. We'll go to Bruce in San Diego. Got a couple of Diego calls on the big board. What's going on, Bruce? You're on with Willard and Dibs.
Hey, how you doing? Hey, Dibs, played with your older brother, Doug, back in the day. He was pretty good.
Where? Did you play at the school no longer known as Drake, or did you play at Napa JC? Where'd you play with him, Bruce?
No, I actually played with Coach Brett Tavani at Central High School on the last big team before that good Drake team. So, you guys were pretty good out there. I remember you as a kid at the game, so
yeah.
Long time.
Eighth grade ball boy. Let's talk about us for a minute. We just had the 40-year anniversary of that state championship team, and it's good to see everybody back. And Brett Tavani's still looking good, that gray fox.
Coach Tavani, he got hit by the fountain of youth. Now, that guy, he's got it all, and I tell you what, he still plays ball as good as he did when he was a kid.
Yeah, I went to grammar school with his daughter, and let's just say your boy didn't fare too well in the courtship of the younger Tavani. Yeah, a lot of strikeouts for your boy back in the day. But Bruce, what do you got for us?
Too much swing and miss in your game? Is that what you're saying?
Way too much swing and miss.
Yeah,
chasing everything. I like Casey Schmidt.
So we're down here in San Diego. I'm going to give you kind of a Southern Cal view on what's going on. First off, it looks like everybody's worried about LeBron going back up to the Bay, actually. Not this year, but next year. And the Warriors can always acquire a pick. I happen to be an attorney myself, and I think there were some bad business moves made in this trade. But let's just take the team right now as it is. I think the acquisition of Paul is there to actually slow down the second team. So if you take a look, you got the best first team in the league. If you throw in Paul, basically you can just melt those minutes off the clock by having them hold the ball and basically just hold the ball and get fouled. And so it's just going to keep pace. That'll give the first team to pretty much dominate the rest of the league if you keep it as is. But the last thing I think the Warriors need is Kerr's a good coach, but he's one of the worst coaches I've seen as for young players. So if you go at players that are 26, 27, 28, 29, and even if you lose Dre down the road and you lose Thompson down the road, those players will be there to support Curry to play till he's 40 if he wants to. So I think that's the move to make, and I think the Warriors are starting that right now.
Thanks, Bruce. Appreciate the call and the trip down memory lane. Warriors' fastest team in the league last year in pace. They were tied with San Antonio. 101.6 was their overall pace. I think they slow it down a little bit just based on principle. I thought they played too fast last year a lot.
And they were very young. I mean, what would they have, like 5 guys under 22 or something like that? I mean, that's really, really young. So, Kerr's got this rep now because he didn't play the young players this year of, he can't play young players or he won't play young players. I think it's more about there's a lot of players entering the NBA right now who lack strength and skill development, and he's just not going to put them out there and give them minutes if they're 19 years old and lack skill development. I don't think he can't play young players. I just don't think he wants to waste any time playing underskilled guys who don't know how to play the game and you can't play off the ball.
You can't say that he can't develop young players and then also say, Kavon's gotten better and Jordan Poole became a 100 million plus player under Steve Kerr. So a lot of times player development, especially in, I'll say maybe in basketball more than any other sport, it's on the player to get better. Like baseball, you need to get better. You need to get coached up in certain ways, but you got to show it level after level after level. Basketball, you got to get in the lab, as Guru says, and you got to improve your individual game.
You've been in the lab
in order to really make it happen. Coach Hall in San Diego wants to talk Draymond. What's going on, Coach?
Hey, what's up, guys? Man, I'm fuming over here at you guys winning Cat. So I'm a UK grad, former UK student athlete, and trust me, you guys do not want Cat. It's not his ability. He's not a smart basketball player. If you go back to when we lost against Wisconsin, he just does not make winning plays. As far as Draymond, he's an evil genius. I think our best case scenario is to pick up people on that market where it's a veteran minimum, because Draymond has pretty much cornered the Warriors. And you can go back to navigating the trade or the signing trade with KD, getting Harrison out of here, missing the layup to get us in the play-in, to punching Jordan Poole, to the technicals in the last 30 seconds. Like, he is a problem child, but we can't win without him. So our best case scenario, I feel, is just to pick up those guys that are looking for those vet minimum deals. Your Boogie Cousins, Dwight Howard, even John Wall. Draymond runs his team, man. Like, it's a catch-22. I don't see us picking up a big splash because Draymond's pretty much cornered the Warriors.
Thank you, Coach. And you're not mad at both of us because I was down on Cat. It was my partner, Larry.
Yeah, I'm the one who's pro-Cat. I'm pro-Cat. Yeah. He's the one who's anti-Cat. As far as Draymond, I mean, you're just going to have to live with the good and the bad. It's just the way it is. I mean, he's a volatile guy. You can't embrace his volatility when it benefits you and have disdain for the volatility when it burns you. And he's a guy there's a little bit of a self-destructive side. There's a little bit of a cross the line or at least straddle the line. He goes right up to it, but it's also what makes him so special. So it's like, you got to take the good with the bad sometimes. Yeah, and with Draymond, I think Coach Hall is right in terms of it's his team, and he definitely has you cornered now. And I think that this deal has already basically been agreed to in principle. Draymond's going to get more money than he opted out of, and I don't think that Draymond wanted to return with Jordan Poole. I think that was made pretty crystal clear, and the team is going to side with Draymond Green. Of course, he's got the 4 chips to Jordan Poole's 1, and so you're going to run it back. And I also think that Draymond would have signed off on the Chris Paul addition